Master Grade Sinanju. Hey, what's up again, everybody? It's Robert184, 2Rs, 2Bs, gundam.tk, continuing my first time look at the Sinanju here. This is the OVA version, and you've already seen the unbox, the plates, and the parts of the MS, but there's a whole load of weapons to take a look at, so let's see what kind of play options Bandai has included with the new ones. Kicking things off here with the beam rifle, which from a distance may seem a little bit skinny and inconsequential for a Char-type weapon here, but something that the Rizels learned all too well is the range that it's going to have in there, and that's going to be helped here visually by the fact that it's got two clear parts there to make up two separate scopes, which is looking fantastic. Here you can see the grip, hopefully that's going to hold in the hand relatively well, and you can see that you're going to have a little bit of piping over here, and this is very easy to detach. And over here, you're going to be able to open this up, which is going to come into play both for the grenade launcher and for the new bazooka attachment. And though it's no napalm for breakfast here, if you want to take the beam rifle, open it up, you can take the grenade launcher, and it'll slide in down here ever so slightly, and then you want to close it up here and pinch it here in the front, which is going to add an incredible amount of heft to this otherwise skinny-looking beam rifle. But even more fun is just going to be the fact that you're going to be able, this is on a slide mechanism here, so if you want to take this, you can actually have this open up to recreate the firing of the grenades, which Full Frontal, like anything he does, can do 3 times better than anyone else. The beam sabers are looking very sharp here, as they're going to be jagged all over the place, and you can see where they're going to be coming out of the emitters down there, with some neat little details there, and they can be held in hand, or if you actually want to take them here, you can open up the wrist here. This slide mechanism is going to bump into this wrist guard every once in a while, or the famous sleeves there. But when it's attached inside here, you can close it back up, and you can have a beam tonfa here, which is actually looking pretty cool if you actually have all your fingers intact. But if beam sabers aren't enough, well, how about these beam axes here, which are going to be very well created. First of all, the emitter here is going to look good, and it's going to slide up and down there, which is going to be a nice gimmick. That's going to play into the way you attach it onto the shield. You're also going to have this part here, which is going to attach into the other one, as well as rotate around. And with one already in there, you can see the way that it's going to attach in there with just those 2 slits. It's going to go in, it's going to be nice and sturdy here, but you know that this is only half of its true potential. Because with the larger of the 2 effect pieces here, you can go full beam naginata here, and this is just going to be an absolute beast here for size. As you can see that just one of them here is going to be as tall as the SD Sinanju, sitting on top of the wrong head base there, the 148th Banshee. And the BR here is going to fit nicely onto the back as you pop open the top and bottom, and it's actually going to be very well designed here, as there is going to be a proper peg and a slit there to hold it in there securely. The bazooka is going to look very familiar to anybody who either bought it years ago or with part of the Sinanju Stein. First of all, you're going to be able to take this part and detach them there if you want to take these, and you can actually take the scope off. It's going to be a little bit disappointing that they didn't add anything in terms of clear parts here so that you could add on some scopes. However, it is going to be looking pretty cool here with the moving parts, this part going up and down, this part moving around like this, and this part just generally looking cool and detachable, as you can also fold this up, which is going to come into play in a few different positions. Probably the biggest complaint about this, though, is just that even though there is going to be a white plate, that they didn't include some of the white colors there, something that we've gotten used to with things like the Gundam Mark II and the RX-78-2 version 2.0. But it's going to be the shield that captures most of the attention from the eyes of onlookers outside of the chest here of this MS. First of all, for the regular seals here, this is probably going to take the most time, but it's actually pretty simple to do. There's one large seal here. You're going to have a U there, which is going to be on the inside. It's a little tricky to put in, but not all that bad. Then just put on these L-shaped ones here, this piece, this piece, this piece, and before you put on the black part here against this large red backdrop, you're actually going to be putting these longest seals there on the red before you put them on the black, and the overall effect from this side, definitely positive. And all the more so when you take a look here at the back, because it's going to have a solid frame there wherever it is open. There's a good reason for it here. This is going to be the regular attachment point, and you can see that these are going to come into play. As you can take the grenade launcher and plug that in down here to the bottom to make this look even cooler. And then you can go ahead and take this part here. Make sure you've got the right one on the right side and take the axe in here, and you'll notice that there's a small peg there, so this is going to attach in and help it stay in place, and you can do that on either side. for something that's going to add a little look of a devil there from the front, but on the back you know that there's all sorts of weapons there ready to be deployed and all sorts of pain to come. Because if you detach them here and take them out, you can rotate this around here, rotate this around, and then when you put them back, just sort of bring this one down and bring this down, and you'll notice again that you're going to have these two nice peg places here where you can go and plug these in, and then you can see that you're going to be getting some cool looking weapon holders down here, as you can put on the beam axes here, which is going to make it look somewhat like a squid. But if you go for the long ones, you can put on one or both, but this has to be one of the most intimidating melee weapons any Gundam has ever carried. And while they're in the up position, if you do want to go ahead and arm them up, you can. But the big question is, what can you do with the big gun here? And after you detach this part here, slide that inside. Inside here, you're going to want to be careful when you're swiveling this up and down, but actually you can detach the whole thing when you put it up like that. And if you dump these out of the back, you can take that trigger part here, bend it into the right position, and then slide this up here. Before getting these parts here twisted into the down position, and then it's time to recreate the OVA here. Take this part here, make sure everything's sealed up, and you can attach this in, and then when you do that, you'll take the axes down here and seal it up. For one of the cooler looking weapons, not so much from this side, although you don't want to meet this business end, but when you see it from underneath there and the fact that it's actually going to have a trigger and a guard, everything is looking very cool, and you know it's going to get even cooler as he can detach it from here. As it's back to the beam rifle time, as you can take this part off here, open it up, and then you can see that you'll be able to take the bazooka with that rear part removed, take this whole thing and slide it in, and even though the colors are going to be a little bit different with a snap there, then it's time to take that big sensor up there and attach that back on, and all of a sudden you are going to have one of the cooler weapons that you'll ever see, because this beam rifle goes from very, very narrow to pretty cool to very cool, almost over the course of just 6 episodes. Tons of fun with the weapons there, especially with the tricks that you can do with that bazooka. Definitely seems a huge plus for 500 yen, just the fact that you can combine it so well with the shield and the regular rifle there, and it's always worth going back to episode 6, watching those first few minutes, and then there's no way that you wouldn't want to be recreating those scenes by yourself. Anyway, everybody, would love to hear your thoughts on the weapons and armaments, and stick around to see it all put together, and that recreated in plastic model form. Thanks for watching, everybody. See ya. Can you make an F into a treble clef? Hey, go get your own.